As I address this audience of young adults, I invite your careful attention to what I say on these subjects, because I am describing conditions you will face and challenges you must confront. For the rights and protection of all flesh, the United States Constitution includes in its First Amendment the guarantees of free exercise of religion and free speech and press. The guarantee of the free exercise of religion, which I will call religious freedom, is the first expression in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. As noted by many, this preeminent place identifies freedom of religion as a cornerstone of American democracy. The American colonies were originally settled by people who, for the most part, had come to this continent to be able to practice their religious faith without persecution, and their successors deliberately placed religious freedom first in the nation's Bill of Rights. So it is that our national law formally declares, quote, "The right to freedom of religion undergirds the very origin and existence of the United States," end of quote. The greatest infringements of religious freedom occur when the exercise of religion collides with other powerful forces in society. Among the most threatening collisions in the United States today are: 1, the rising strength of those who seek to silence religious voices in public debates, and 2, perceived conflicts between religious freedom and the popular appeal of newly alleged civil rights. Noted author and legal commentator Hugh Hewitt described the current circumstance in this way, quote, "There is a growing anti-religious bigotry in the United States. For 3 decades, people of faith have watched a systematic and very effective effort waged in the courts and the media to drive them from the public square and to delegitimize their participation in politics as somehow threatening," end of quote. For example, a prominent gay rights spokesman gave this explanation for his objection to our church's position on California's Proposition 8, quote, "I'm not intending it to harm the religion. I think they do wonderful things. Nicest people. My single goal is to get them out of the same-sex marriage business and back to helping hurricane victims," end of quote. Aside from the obvious fact that this objection would deny free speech as well as religious freedom to members of our church and its coalition partners, there are other reasons why the public square must be open to religious ideas and religious persons. We've endured a wave of media-reported charges that the Mormons are trying to deny people or strip people of their rights. In fact, the Proposition 8 battle was not about civil rights, but about what equal rights demand and what religious rights protect. At no time did anyone question or jeopardize the civil right of Proposition 8 opponents to vote or speak their views. The real issue in the Proposition 8 debate is whether the opponents of Proposition 8 should be allowed to change the vital institution of marriage itself. The marriage union of a man and a woman has been the teaching of the Judeo-Christian scriptures and the core legal definition and practice of marriage in Western culture for thousands of years. Those who seek to change the foundation of marriage should not be allowed to pretend that those who defend the ancient order are trampling on civil rights. The supporters of Proposition 8 were exercising their constitutional right to defend the institution of marriage, an institution of transcendent importance that they, along with countless others of many persuasions, feel conscientiously obliged to protect. It was the Christian principles of human worth and dignity that made possible the formation of the United States Constitution over 200 years ago. And only those principles in the hearts of a majority of our diverse population can sustain that Constitution today. Our Constitution's revolutionary concepts of sovereignty in the people and significant guarantees of personal rights were, as John A. Howard has written, quote, generated by a people for whom Christianity had been for a century and a half the compelling feature of their lives. It was Jesus who first stated that all men are created equal and that every person is valued and loved by God. End of quote. Religious values and political realities are so interlinked in the origin and perpetuation of this nation that we cannot lose the influence of Christianity in the public square without seriously jeopardizing our freedoms. I maintain that this is a political fact, well qualified for argument in the public square by religious people whose freedom to believe and act must always be protected by what is properly called our first freedom, the free exercise of religion.